Here are the top stories for today, August 26, 2021. Reviving economic health, 4 regions will get over 400,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines in a bid to protect more workers and ensure continuity of jobs in essential industries. The Interior Department extends the deadline for the payout of cash aid in Metro Manila, even as local government units have almost completed the distribution of assistance to low-income beneficiaries. The Philippines gets another boost in its COVID-19 inoculation drive as over 360,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine arrive and will be deployed in high-risk areas. And a survey shows more young Filipinos are not so happy-go-lucky with spending and are more keen on securing financial health. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. More workers in essential industries in Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Central Visayas, and National Capital Region will soon get inoculated against COVID-19. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said a total of 452,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines would be allotted for factory workers in the said regions following their request for more jabs from the National Task Force against COVID-19. He thanked Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. for granting the request, saying the move will speed up the reopening of the economy and boost the protection of workers in the country. Meanwhile, the Labor Department said about 90,000 workers have been affected by the imposition of the enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila. Labor Assistant Secretary Dominic Tutay said the workers affected have either permanently lost their jobs or are under flexible work arrangements. The figure is only for formal sector workers and does not include the informal sector workers and repatriated overseas Filipino workers. The payout of cash aid for low-income beneficiaries affected by the 2-week enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila will continue. This as the Interior Department extended the deadline for the aid distribution until the end of August. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año says the extension was made upon the request of the LGUs and was backed by the Department of Social Welfare and Development and the Department of National Defense. Meanwhile, Caloocan City has fully completed its aid distribution, while other LGUs have distributed over 80% of the ayuda funds as of August 24. Over 9 million beneficiaries have so far received aid since the start of the payout on August 11. Under the guidelines on aid distributions, a beneficiary is entitled to a 1,000 peso assistance, while a family will receive a maximum of 4,000 pesos.
Ito na ang pinakamabilis na distribution na naisagawa sa Metro Manila simula ng pandemya. Kaugnay nito, in-extend ng national government sa pamamagitan ng DILG ang ayuda payout hanggang katapusan August 31. Binabati rin po natin ang Caloocan City ang natatanging LGU na nakakumpleto ng pamamahagi ng ayuda bago pa man ang deadline ng August 24. Congratulations, Mayor Malapitan.
Experts continue to appeal to the public, get vaccinated against COVID-19, as this greatly cuts the possibility of severe infection and even death. In a public briefing, vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ron Jean Solante says the public must get the jabs as infections continue to soar due to the highly contagious Delta variant. He says based on the latest data, 80% of COVID patients admitted in hospitals are unvaccinated. These include those confined in intensive care units due to critical infection. He also reminds the public to get the vaccine that is available, as they may be infected first before they are able to get their preferred vaccine brand. Solante reiterates vaccines are effective and safe and that adverse reactions after vaccination are common. He also debunked social media posts saying the jabs can change the genetic composition of a human being. The Philippines continues to boost its response on the pandemic, with securing more supplies of COVID-19 jabs. A total of 362,700 doses of life-saving jabs from Pfizer arrived in the country last night. Out of this number, some 50,310 doses were already delivered to Cebu, while another 50,310 doses were delivered to Davao. The rest of the jabs arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. NTF Against COVID-19 Subtask Force on Current Operations Chief Assistant Secretary Wilben Mayor says these vaccines will be deployed in Metro Manila and Calabarzon, which are considered as high-risk areas. They are also working with Food and Drug Administration on Pfizer's application for full approval for its COVID-19 jabs. The United States FDA granted full approval to Pfizer's COVID-19 jabs for people aged 16 and above, which means it can be commercially used soon. The latest shipment raises the number of jabs that arrived in the country to over 48.8 million doses. The Philippine National Police has ordered police commanders to come up with strategies in containing the spread of COVID-19 in their areas. This comes as experts warned of the number of infections soaring to more than 20,000 daily. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eliazar has ordered the JTF COVID Shield and police chiefs to work with local government units in making adjustments of existing protocols. He adds, local factors that affect COVID-19 transmission should be taken into consideration in coming up with adjustments of quarantine rules. Metro Manila and some areas in the country have been downgraded to the less strict modified ECQ, but granular lockdowns remain as an option as the country grapples with the surge in infections. Bacolod City is being considered as a model in pandemic response among the local government units in Western Visayas. On Wednesday, the region's local chief executives, including Bacolod City Mayor Evelio Leonarda, discussed strategies being implemented by LGUs amid the surge in cases in some cities and provinces and the detection of new variants. Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Treñas himself urged his fellow officials to adopt Bacolod strategies on how it managed to sustain the decline of infections in the past 4 weeks. In a presentation, City Administrator M. Ang said that aside from the prevention, detection, isolation, treatment, and reintegration strategy, the city government adopted a 5-pronged approach. Still to come, the Defense Department is keeping a close watch on events in Afghanistan to prevent a possible spillover of conflict into the Philippines. And more young Filipinos are now money-wise according to a survey. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Muñoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Yorme Isko po, bakuna po ang ating kasangga sa patuloy na pandemya. Kaya upang maproteksyonan ang ating sarili at mga mahal sa buhay, huwag po nating palampasin ang pagkakataong magpabakuna sa lalong madaling panahon. Tandaan na sa patuloy na laban kontra COVID-19, ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Magparehistro't magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Manila, God first.
The local government of Iloilo City has placed several areas on surgical lockdown following reports that cases of the contagious Delta variant were detected. More on this and other news from the provinces from Marita Muwahe.
Selected areas in Iloilo City's 9 barangays have been placed on localized containment surgical lockdown effective Wednesday until August 28 due to the detection of COVID-19 Delta variant cases in their areas. The Philippine Genome Center detected a total of 11 Delta cases in a report released to the City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit on August 23. However, the CESU reported on the same date that all the new Delta cases have recovered. The city mayor directed the police, local officials, and force multipliers to enforce the lockdown. In South Cotabato, extensive contact tracing activities have been launched in various localities due to confirmed cases of the Delta variant. The Integrated Provincial Health Office already recorded 4 cases of the highly contagious strain. Of the 4 Delta cases, one was a 4-year-old boy from Tupi Town who earlier died in a hospital in Davao City. The 3 other patients from Suralia, Banga, and Coronadal City had no history of travel and were considered local cases. Health officials also identified at least 6 direct contacts of the area's first Delta variant case, a 24-year-old male who is working at the Soxargen Regional Center. In Pangasinan, the Provincial Health Office enforced a 2-week lockdown of 12 localities in the province due to a surge of COVID-19 cases. These are the towns of Calasiao, Lingayen, Bugalion, Sison, Villasis, Pozo Rubio, Aguilar, Santa Barbara, Binmalay, Infanta, Urdaneta City, and Dagupan City. Calasiao Mayor Joseph Arman Bauzon, however, said the municipal government will implement a granular lockdown in areas with higher cases of the virus instead of the 2-week lockdown. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muaje.
The Bureau of Customs in Davao donated hospital beds and a number of medical equipment to the Southern Philippines Medical Center. The donation, which includes one 40-footer containerized van with 38 hospital beds, walkers, medical trolleys, and folding beds, was turned over to the hospital on August 16. Port of Davao District Collector Erastius Sandino, Austria, says the donation aims to boost the SPMC's capability to accommodate and take care of COVID-19 patients. He adds they are fast-tracking the release of essential commodities, particularly personal protective equipment, medical supplies, and other donations arriving at the port. The SPMC thanked the BOC Davao for its support in battling the pandemic. The Defense Department says it is closely monitoring events in Afghanistan following the Taliban's takeover earlier this month. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says they are keeping a close watch on the situation in the South Central Asian nation, as this was where Abdu Jarak, Abu Bakr, and Gaddafi Janjalani trained in the 1980s before forming the Abu Sayyaf group in 1991. Lorenzana has also asked the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command on whether there is a substantial number of Taliban fighters who can sneak in and return to Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. While saying it is unlikely that there are Filipinos who got training from the Taliban, the defense chief says they are working with Malaysia and Indonesia to curb a possible spillover of the Afghan conflict. The Philippine government earlier said it will accept Afghan refugees fleeing their home country over fears of reprisal from the hardline Islamist group. Law Office of the President has directed the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission to slap dismiss National Electrification Administration Administrator Edgardo Masongsong with criminal charges before the Office of the Ombudsman. Masongsong was sacked in connection with the alleged use of public funds for political purposes. The OP found that Masongsong repeatedly failed to object to the continuing financial support of electric cooperatives for the political activities of the Philippine Rural Electric Cooperatives Association, or PhilReCA, party list. The order was contained in the OP's 14-page decision issued on August 20. Also on August 20, President Rodrigo Duterte announced that he had fired Masongsong upon the recommendation of the PACC. In May, the PACC charged Masongsong before the Ombudsman over his supposed inaction on the supposed use of public funds for PhilReCA's campaign activities. In our business news, a study has revealed that Generation Y, or the millennials aged 25 to 40 years of age, and the Generation Z aged 15 to 24 years are conscious about securing their financial health, especially during this pandemic. Manulife Chief Marketing Officer Melissa Henson cited the result from 500 respondents who participated in their survey done between April and May this year. The respondents identified staying healthy, saving money, becoming financially independent, securing a well-paying job, and establish a business as their top priorities. On the other hand, their top stressors are running out of money, getting sick, death, declining mental health, and drowning in debt. Henson said the pandemic has made younger generations become more aware of the importance of their physical, mental, and financial health. With this, they look for products and services that are not only aligned with their beliefs and interests, but those that will help them secure a stable future. Up next, a challenge to the Makabayan Bloc, explain why they are against funding development programs in villages. And the House of Representatives gives another honor to Pinoy pugs who conquered the Tokyo Olympics. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Hi everyone, James Deacon here. The COVID-19 vaccines are finally here, and the government wants to make sure the vaccines reach us. So let's do our part by making sure that we get registered to be included in the vaccination list of our LGU. You can register right in the comfort and safety of your own homes through your LGU's online registration platform. And you can also register on-site in the vaccination venues or through your barangay. Remember, getting vaccinated is the first step towards ending this pandemic. So let's do our part as disciplined citizens. Bida ang may disiplina. Magpakarehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
Si Mayor Richard Gomez po ito. Sa patuloy na pagharap natin sa COVID-19 pandemic, bawat isa ay bida at solusyon para wakasan ito. Huwag po tayo matakot magpabakuna dahil ito ay tiyak na proteksyon hindi lamang sa ating sarili, kundi pati sa ating pamilya, mahal natin sa buhay, komunidad. Kaya't magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Ang disiplinado na Pilipino, rehistrado at kailangan bakunado.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana addressed what he called misplaced objections to the proposed 28.1 billion peso budget for the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict in 2022. Lorenzana said the SOLON should explain the reason for their call to defund the Anti-Insurgency Task Force. He said their objections mean they want to stop the development of conflict-affected barangays. The Makabayan Bloc in Congress and Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon are among those calling to trim the proposed NTF-LCAC budget. Under the proposed 2022 national budget, the NTF-LCAC's Barangay Development Project, or BDP, will rehabilitate around 1,400 barangays in conflict-hit areas located mostly in New People's Army-infested areas of Samar and Bicol region. The Philippine Army has dismantled the New People's Army Kangaroo Court in Carigara, Leyte. Captain Kaharudin Kadil, the spokesman of the Army's 802nd Infantry Brigade, said 2 court members and a courier spotter surrendered last week during a retooled community support program in Carigara town. The CSP is the Army's program to deliver basic services to people in conflict-affected barangays. Kadil said the NPA Kangaroo Court kills people on mere suspicion that they are against the insurgents, and it had also sentenced a soldier to death in 2017. They also identified the other members of the court, including one who earlier surrendered as a mass member. Brigadier General Zosimo Oliveros, commander of the 802nd Brigade, condemned the summary execution of victims similar to the purging of their own members in the gruesome Inopacan massacre. The House of Representatives adopted resolutions conferring the Congressional Medal of Distinction to boxers Nesty Petesio, Carlo Paalam, and Yumir Marshall for winning medals in the Tokyo Olympics. The Chamber adopted House Resolutions 2093, 2122, and 2116, conferring the Congressional Medal of Distinction on the three Filipino boxers. Petesio bagged the silver medal at the women's featherweight final, while Paalam and Marshall clinched silver and bronze in the men's boxing flyweight and middleweight categories, respectively. Speaker Lord Alan Velasco hailed Petesio, Paalam, and Marshall as national heroes in sports. The Congressional Medal of Distinction is given to Filipino achievers in sports, business, medicine, science, and other fields. The same award was given to weightlifter Heidelin Diaz 5 years ago when she won a silver medal in the 2016 Rio Olympics. The National Museum of the Philippines will feature women weavers considered as unsung heroes of Antique in a webinar to be held in celebration of National Heroes Day on August 30. Board member Errol Santillan, chairman of the Committee on History and Cultural Heritage of the Antique Provincial Board, said the NMP will present the crucial role of patadyong or textile weavers, particularly during the Spanish period. The making of patadyong, a colorful cloth of checkered or plaid patterns, is still an existing livelihood in Bugasong and Tibiao towns of the province. In addition to women weavers, the Kulasi Tourism Office will present stories of Captain Silverio Lacson Cadiao, the former crusader during the Japanese occupation, and Don Juan Javier, the father of Kulasi independence. Two historians will also talk about the life story of General Leandro Fulion and Lieutenant Ruperto Abellon, who helped organize the revolutionary government, and General Valentin Grasparil, the former commander of the 66th Infantry Regiment during World War II. The International Committee of the Red Cross has launched a book on Islam's perspective to international humanitarian law and the protection of human rights during armed conflict. Claire Gighe has the story.
The International Committee of the Red Cross or ICRC in the Philippines, alongside King Faisal Center for Islamic, Arabic and Asian Studies or KFC-IAAS of the Mindanao State University or MSU main campus in Marawi City, launched yesterday a book entitled Articles on Islam and International Humanitarian Law or IHL, in line with the IHL month celebration.
This publication provides context and a sense of ownership among the Mindanao community, which is vital toward the goal of protecting the lives and dignity of the victims of armed conflicts.
KFC-IAAS Professor Dr. Anwar Radyamoda shared that the book has 15 articles on Islam and IHL, with the text translated into Maranao from Arabic by their 7 top translators, compiled and arranged by ICRC's former Islamic World Affairs Advisor Dr. Amir Al-Zemali, and published by the ICRC. He said the book incorporates important teachings and concepts of Maqasid Sharia, including the core universal interests, and Prophet Muhammad's instructions to soldiers, commonly known as war ethical codes. Meanwhile, MSU Executive Vice President Dr. Rashid Paca congratulated the KFC-IAAS for the important accomplishment it has achieved with the translation of the IHL into Maranao, as he found this crucial in the Marawi context considering the transpired siege way back 2017, which the city has not yet recovered.
This book launching is more than just an unwrapping of a published book, but a promising endeavor, a true service to the people of Lanao del Sur and the Maranao in general.
KFC-IAAS Dean Dr. Abdul Kader Ayo also highlighted that the book launching is a huge accomplishment of the university, and he is grateful for becoming a partner and instrument of the publishing of the book, which is worth to be read, understood, and shared with its Maranao translations. For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gighe of the Philippine Information Agency Ligan City Information Center.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Reviving economic health, 4 regions will get over 400,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines in a bid to protect more workers and ensure continuity of jobs in essential industries. The Interior Department extends the deadline for the payout of cash aid in Metro Manila, even as local government units have almost completed the distribution of assistance to low-income beneficiaries. The Philippines gets another boost in its COVID-19 inoculation drive as over 360,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine arrive and will be deployed in high-risk areas. And a survey shows more young Filipinos are not so happy-go-lucky with spending and are more keen on securing financial health. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.